Maya wiped the sweat from her forehead as she pulled her old sedan into the small gas station at the edge of town. The sun was slowly dipping below the horizon, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. She had spent the entire day working 2 jobs, juggling tasks that left her exhausted, but she had to keep going. Her young son, Leo, depended on her, and Maya had made a promise to herself that she would never let him feel the stress of their life more than he had to. The gas station was quiet, almost empty except for a few trucks in the far corner and the faint hum of the neon open sign above the door. Maya parked near the pumps, stepped out, and grabbed the nozzle. The smell of gasoline filled her nose, reminding her of long drives and the many small adventures she had taken with Leo on weekends. Despite the fatigue, she felt a sense of calm in the simple act of pumping fuel, as if it connected her to something ordinary and reliable in a world that often felt chaotic. As she began filling her tank, she noticed a figure approaching from across the lot. He was tall, wearing a leather jacket with patches stitched along the sleeves and back. The jacket looked worn but cared for, like it had many stories to tell. His boots made soft but steady thuds on the concrete. Maya felt a small wave of curiosity, mixed with a hint of caution. "Excuse me," the man said, his voice low but friendly. "I think I left my wallet in the car." Maya glanced up, meeting his eyes for the first time. They were dark and observant, a little tired but kind. She noticed a small scar above his eyebrow, barely visible but giving him a sense of having lived through experiences she could only imagine. "That's okay," Maya replied. "Do you need some help?" He shook his head, smiling slightly. No, I've got it." He bent down to check the floorboard of his bike. Maya noticed the motorcycle parked behind his truck. It was big, shiny, and polished, clearly well-loved. She had seen plenty of motorcycles before, but there was something about this one that felt different. It looked powerful, confident, and free. As he dug into his jacket pocket, Maya felt a sudden urge to act. She had spent her life helping others whenever she could. Small acts that sometimes went unnoticed but made a difference. She looked at the gas meter, realizing she had enough money to cover his tank if needed. "Here," she said, stepping closer. "I can pay for your gas." "Consider it a small kindness." The man looked up, surprised. "You don't have to do that," he said, a hint of hesitation in his voice. Maya shook her head. "I want to. Everyone needs a little help sometimes." He studied her for a moment, and then a smile spread across his face. "Thank you, that's really kind of you." Maya paid for both tanks, her hands feeling a little shaky from exhaustion but also warmth from the small connection she had made. The man nodded in gratitude, handing her a small card from his pocket. "My name is Ron," he said. "If you ever need anything, you can reach me here." Maya tucked the card into her purse, smiling politely. "Thank you, Ron, I'll remember that." He mounted his bike, the engine roaring softly as it came to life. The sound was powerful but controlled like him. Maya watched as he drove off, leaving a trail of dust in his wake. For a moment she felt a sense of wonder, a tiny spark of excitement that broke through the monotony of her day. She finished filling her own tank and climbed back into her car. Leo would be waiting at home, probably doing his homework at the kitchen table. Maya thought about how different life felt when someone showed genuine kindness. It reminded her that even in a busy, sometimes difficult world, humans were capable of extraordinary acts, small or large. As she drove down the quiet road leading to her apartment, she noticed the sky darkening. Streetlights flickered on, casting golden pools of light across the pavement. She hummed softly to herself, thinking about how her life, though challenging, had moments of connection that made everything worthwhile. Arriving at her apartment, Maya parked in her usual spot and helped Leo carry the small bags of groceries inside. He looked up at her with a tired but happy smile. "Hi, Mom," he said. "Did you have a good day?" Maya smiled back, brushing a strand of hair from her face. "It was busy, but I had a nice moment today," she said. "Someone needed help and I was able to give it." Leo tilted his head, curious. "Who?" "Just someone I met at the gas station," Maya said. "He was kind and I wanted to return the favor. That's all." Leo nodded, though he didn't fully understand. Maya thought about how life often involved small gestures that mattered more than anyone realized. It wasn't always about big achievements. Sometimes it was about showing kindness, courage, and integrity in everyday moments. That night, after putting Leo to bed, Maya sat by the window sipping a cup of tea. She thought about the man at the gas station and the brief exchange they had shared. It felt like a small but meaningful thread connecting her to the larger world outside her apartment. Even in moments of fatigue, even when life felt overwhelming, she realized that human connections could be a source of hope, resilience, and strength. Outside, the city lights twinkled, and the distant hum of vehicles traveled along empty streets. Maya's heart felt a little lighter, carrying with it the memory of an unexpected encounter that reminded her of the goodness in people. She felt prepared to face whatever challenges tomorrow might bring, knowing that kindness had the power to create extraordinary moments in ordinary lives. Before turning in for the night, Maya glanced once more at the card Ron had given her. She wasn't sure if she would ever need it, but holding it in her hand made her feel connected to something larger than herself. She placed it on her nightstand and closed her eyes, feeling a quiet confidence that tomorrow might bring more surprises, more opportunities to witness humanity at its best. Maya drifted to sleep, unaware that this simple act of generosity would soon ripple through her life in ways she could never have imagined. Outside, the night was calm, yet charged with possibilities, and in the quiet, the world seemed to whisper that kindness, courage, and human ingenuity could turn ordinary moments into extraordinary experiences. The morning sun poured through the thin curtains of Maya's small apartment. She stretched her arms and yawned, feeling the weight of yesterday's work still clinging to her. Her life was a constant balance of jobs, responsibilities, and taking care of Leo. Still, she cherished the small moments, like waking up to the smell of breakfast cooking or hearing the soft laughter of her son as he got ready for school. Today, however, felt slightly different. A small unease prickled at the back of her mind as she moved around the kitchen. She tried to ignore it, telling herself it was just fatigue. Maya had learned long ago that her imagination often ran faster than reality, especially after working so hard and sleeping so little. After preparing breakfast, she called out, "Leo, come and eat." Her son appeared in the doorway, rubbing his eyes. "Good morning, Mom," he said with a sleepy smile. "Morning, Leo. Did you sleep well?" Maya asked, placing a plate of scrambled eggs in front of him. "Yes, but I had a weird dream," Leo said, picking up his fork. "I dreamed someone was outside the window watching us." Maya froze for a second. She tried to keep her voice calm. "Dreams are funny like that. Sometimes they feel real, but they're not," she said. Deep down, she felt a pang of worry. Dreams often reflected the hidden corners of our minds, and sometimes they were warnings. After breakfast, Maya went about her day, working her first job at the community library. The library was quiet and peaceful, a place where Maya found a small escape from the stress of life. She loved the smell of old books and the gentle murmur of pages being turned. For a few hours, the world outside seemed far away and she could breathe. But even in the calm of the library, her thoughts kept returning to yesterday. The man at the gas station, the kindness they had shared, it felt like a small beacon in her otherwise busy, challenging life. She smiled to herself, hoping that the world had more moments like that. After her shift ended, she walked back to her apartment, groceries in hand, noticing the streets growing quiet. The shadows from the buildings stretched long and thin, and a soft breeze carried the scent of late autumn leaves. Maya's senses were alert, and she couldn't shake the tiny feeling that something was off. As she approached her apartment building, she noticed a figure standing near the corner of the street. The person was just a silhouette against the fading light. Maya slowed her pace, her heart beating a little faster. She could not see the face clearly, but the figure did not move away or greet her. Instead, it stayed still, almost like it was waiting. Maya quickened her steps and entered the building, trying to appear calm. She climbed the stairs to her apartment, unlocking the door and letting Leo run in ahead of her. "Mom, I saw someone outside," Leo said, his voice small. "I think it was the same person from my dream." Maya knelt to look him in the eyes. "Leo, sometimes our minds make things seem scarier than they are. But we will be careful, okay?" Leo nodded, though he still looked worried. Maya felt a responsibility heavier than usual. She had always protected her son, but the feeling of someone watching their home was new and frightening. That evening, after Leo went to bed, Maya sat by the window with a cup of tea. She scanned the street below, the quiet hum of city lights providing little comfort. Her mind raced with possibilities. Was it a neighbor with bad intentions or someone lost? Could it have something to do with her helping that man at the gas station? The uncertainty gnawed at her. Maya had always believed in the goodness of people, but she had also learned that the world required vigilance. She made a mental note to install extra lights outside and check the locks on the doors and windows. The next day, Maya returned to her second job at a small cafe downtown. She served coffee and pastries with her usual warm smile, chatting with regular customers and enjoying the small interactions that made her days brighter. Still, her mind wandered. During a quiet moment, she pulled out the card Ron had given her. She looked at his name and phone number, feeling a strange comfort. She had not needed to call him, but something inside whispered that she might. That night, as she prepared dinner for Leo, the sense of unease grew stronger. Small things seemed off. A knocked-over plant on the balcony, the faint sound of footsteps outside, the feeling of eyes watching from the shadows. Maya's heart raced, but she reminded herself to stay calm. Panic would not help. She decided to take precautions. She double-checked the locks on all doors and windows, ensured that the lights outside were bright, and even kept her phone within reach at all times. Leo noticed her careful movements and asked quietly, "Mom, are we going to be okay?" Maya knelt beside him and held his hands. "Yes, Leo, we are always going to be okay. We just have to be smart and careful. That's all." As the night deepened, Maya sat by the window again, listening to the soft sounds of the city. The hum of distant cars, the occasional bark of a dog, and the wind rustling leaves created a strange comfort. But the feeling of being watched persisted, making her alert to every sound and shadow. The following morning, Maya received a message from Ron. She had not expected to hear from him, but the text was simple and kind. "Hope you are safe. If you ever need help, call me." Maya felt a warmth spread through her chest. She had been hesitant about reaching out, but now she realized that human kindness and connection could be a source of strength, especially in times of uncertainty. She typed a quick reply. "Thank you, Ron. I may need help soon." Throughout the day, she remained vigilant. Every sound made her glance up. Every shadow made her pause. Yet the thought of Ron and the small act of kindness they had shared gave her courage. She realized that humans had an incredible ability to care for each other, to act in moments of need, and to create bonds that could withstand fear and uncertainty. By evening, Maya decided to take one final precaution. She gathered some essentials, a flashlight, a few snacks, and her phone, and placed them near the door. She also made a simple plan for what she and Leo would do if anything happened. Even in the face of fear, she felt a sense of control. As night fell, Maya watched the street outside once more. The city lights shimmered, and the shadows danced across the pavement. She felt a mixture of fear and determination, knowing that she would not let worry paralyze her. Humans were resilient, capable of adapting and full of courage when it was needed most. Just as she began to relax slightly, she saw a shadow move across the street. It was quick and subtle, almost blending with the darkness. Maya's heart skipped a beat, but she stayed calm. She whispered to herself, "We are safe. We are ready." Leo stirred in his sleep, and Maya gently covered him with a blanket. She thought about the lessons she had learned over the years. Kindness could create unexpected allies, vigilance could prevent harm, and courage could emerge even in ordinary moments. Maya did not yet know that the small act of paying for gas had set events in motion that would soon bring unexpected allies into her life. She did not know that the shadows outside were not just strangers, but challenges that would test her ingenuity and courage. But as she sat by the window, sipping her tea and watching the night, Maya felt a quiet confidence. Humans were remarkable, she thought. They could turn fear into strength, uncertainty into action, and small gestures into extraordinary moments. Maya awoke to the soft sound of birds outside her window. The morning light spilled across her small apartment, painting everything in warm gold. She stretched and yawned, feeling the lingering tension from the past few days. Her son Leo had already gone to the kitchen, humming quietly as he made himself breakfast. Maya smiled, grateful for the normal rhythm of life, yet her unease lingered in the corners of her mind. The memory of shadows outside her apartment haunted her even in daylight. She could not ignore the feeling that something was watching her, that someone's presence lingered just out of sight. Maya had taken precautions, extra locks, brighter lights, careful planning, but uncertainty remained. Just as she began tidying the living room, there was a gentle knock on her door. Her heart leapt into her throat. She froze, listening. The knock came again, polite and deliberate. Slowly, she walked to the door and peeked through the peephole. Outside stood Ron, the man from the gas station, his familiar leather jacket slightly worn from travel. He smiled gently, holding up his hands in a gesture of calm. "Hi, Maya," he said. "Do you have a moment?" Maya hesitated, then unlocked the door. "Ron, hi. What brings you here?" she asked, trying to keep her voice steady. "I wanted to check on you," Ron said. "I also thought you might need a little help." He nodded toward the street as if to imply he knew more than he could say. "Is it okay if I come in?" Maya stepped aside, allowing him to enter. She felt a strange mix of relief and curiosity. There was something about his calm presence that eased the tension in her chest. He carried no weapons, no threat, only quiet confidence and kindness. Leo peeked from behind the kitchen door, eyes wide. "Mom, who is he?" he asked softly. "This is Ron," Maya said, crouching to meet her son's gaze. "He is a friend. He's here to help us." Leo nodded, still cautious but trusting his mother. Ron knelt to Leo's level and smiled. "Hi, Leo. I'm happy to meet you." They all sat in the living room. Maya offered tea while Ron spoke in a quiet, steady tone. "I know you've been worried," he said. "I saw what you texted yesterday. I want you to feel safe. I can help you figure out who has been causing this trouble." Maya felt a warmth in her chest. She had acted on instinct, paying for Ron's gas, and now that simple act had created a connection she could rely on. "I don't know what to do," she admitted. "I've tried being careful, but I feel like someone is always out there." Ron nodded. "Humans are clever, Maya. You've already shown that by thinking ahead, preparing for possible danger. That's why I know you can handle this. But sometimes it helps to have friends." Maya felt a mix of gratitude and relief. She had always believed in kindness, but she had never expected it to come in such a tangible, protective way. "Thank you," she said simply. Ron spent the next few hours asking careful questions. He wanted to know the times Maya had felt watched, the small things that seemed off, the minor disturbances in her apartment that might have been clues. Maya described everything she had noticed: the knocked-over plant, the faint footsteps outside, the feeling of eyes on them at night. Ron listened without interrupting, nodding thoughtfully. "All of this makes sense," he said. "You've been observant, and that is exactly what we need. Humans have the ability to notice details, connect small pieces of information, and come up with solutions that no machine or alien could anticipate. You've already started that process. I can help you finish it." Maya felt a surge of confidence. It was true. Her instincts had kept her alert, and now with Ron's guidance she could act instead of just worrying. "What do we do first?" she asked. Ron smiled. "First, we make a plan. Safety always comes before anything else. We check the surroundings, make sure there are no easy ways for someone to approach your home without being noticed. And then we figure out who might be causing this." He and Maya walked outside together, checking the perimeter of the apartment. Ron pointed out areas that might allow someone to hide or watch without being seen. He suggested better lighting for corners and motion sensors near doors. Maya followed each suggestion carefully, realizing how human ingenuity, small inventions, clever placement, observation, could create protection without confrontation. After securing the perimeter, they returned inside. Maya poured herself another cup of tea, feeling a small sense of triumph. "I never thought about how much you could do with small changes," she said. "Just by paying attention and planning, you can really make a difference." Ron nodded. "Exactly. Humans are capable of extraordinary solutions when they work together. Your care, your observation, and your thoughtfulness are already extraordinary. We just enhance them with some extra help." Leo, who had been watching quietly, asked, "Mom, are we going to be okay?" Maya knelt to his level, taking his hand in hers. "Yes, Leo, we are going to be okay. We just have to be smart, and we have someone to help us. That makes a big difference." Over the next few days, Ron returned several times, each visit bringing more information and small improvements to Maya's home. He showed her how to notice patterns, how to track unusual activity without fear, and how to use observation to prevent problems before they started. Maya was amazed at the way humans could combine logic, creativity, and care to create safety and security. One evening after Ron left, Maya and Leo sat together at the kitchen table. Leo was drawing quietly, and Maya watched him with a thoughtful expression. "You know, Leo," she said softly, "humans are incredible. Even when things seem scary, we can think, plan and protect each other. That is our strength. Leo looked up and smiled. Like you, Mom, you are strong. Maya felt a surge of pride. She realized that strength was not just physical. It was thoughtfulness, courage, and kindness. It was paying attention, noticing the small details, and acting to protect those you loved. Humans had a way of turning fear into action, uncertainty into plans, and small acts of kindness into solutions. That night, as Maya prepared for bed, there was another knock at the door. Her heart leapt, but this time she did not feel fear. She opened the door to find Ron and a few of his friends from the community. They were quiet, friendly, and non-threatening. Hi, Maya, Ron said. We thought it might help to have a few more hands around just in case. We are here to make sure you and Leo are safe. Maya felt a mixture of surprise and gratitude. Thank you, she said. I didn't expect this. One of the friends, a man named Paul, smiled. You helped Ron yesterday. We're just returning the kindness. Humans look out for each other. Maya realized that kindness had a ripple effect. A single act paying for gas had grown into a network of protection and care. She felt her confidence grow, knowing that humans, when they acted together with care and thoughtfulness, could create extraordinary solutions. Over the next few hours, Ron and his friends helped Maya set up additional precautions. They did not force anything. Instead, they guided her, showing how to use observation, timing, and clever thinking to anticipate problems. Maya learned how to watch for unusual patterns, how to notice small changes that could signal danger, and how to act calmly under pressure. By the time they left, Maya felt a sense of calm she had not experienced in weeks. She looked at Leo, who was already sleepy, and whispered, We are going to be safe. We have friends who care, and we know how to protect ourselves. She realized that this experience was more than just about protection. It was a lesson in human resilience, ingenuity, and kindness. Humans had the ability to observe, think, plan, and act in ways that could overcome challenges that seemed overwhelming. It was not about strength alone, but about creativity, courage, and collaboration. As she sat by the window that night, watching the stars twinkle in the clear sky, Maya felt hope. She understood that even in difficult times, humans had the capacity to act in ways that were extraordinary, turning fear into courage and small acts of kindness into life-changing support. Maya did not yet know how far-reaching the consequences of her simple act of kindness would become, but she felt ready. Humans were remarkable, she thought, and with thought, care, and courage, they could overcome almost anything. And as she finally turned off the lights and climbed into bed, she felt something she had not felt in a long time: peace. For the first time in weeks, she trusted that the shadows outside were no longer a threat. They had been met with observation, planning, and human ingenuity. And with that, Maya and Leo were ready for whatever came next. The night air was calm, but Maya felt a sharp alertness she had not felt in weeks. Since Ron and his friends had come into her life, she had learned to observe, to think ahead, and to prepare. Every sound, shadow, and movement outside her apartment was a signal to consider, a clue to understand. Maya had become a student of the human mind's power, the ability to turn fear into action, uncertainty into strategy, and small acts of attention into safety. This evening, she sat at the kitchen table with Leo, carefully explaining the plan Ron had taught her. We need to notice small details, she said, pointing at a simple chart she had drawn. Every person, every movement outside can tell us something. Humans are smart. We can use our minds to protect ourselves without fighting. That is our power. Leo nodded, his small hands clutching a pencil. I want to help, Mom, he said. Maya smiled. You already help by paying attention. We all have to work together. Later that night, Maya heard a faint sound from outside, a footstep on the gravel, careful and slow. Her heart skipped a beat, but she remembered Ron's lessons. Stay calm, observe, and act with reason. She whispered to Leo, Stay inside and keep quiet. Watch the shadows through the window. Through the glass, Maya noticed a figure moving along the edge of the building. It was subtle, cautious, as if the person was testing the area. She could not see the face, but she noticed small things: the angle of the body, the way the figure paused near the corner, and the slight rustle of clothing against the wind. Each detail was a clue. Maya activated a small motion sensor light they had installed together. The sudden glow caused the figure to freeze for a moment, then retreat a few steps. Maya made a note of the pattern. They are watching us, she whispered. They are careful, but humans can notice patterns. That is what we do best. She grabbed her phone and sent a quick message to Ron. Activity outside. Watching carefully. Need guidance. Within minutes, Ron arrived with two of his friends, Paul and Nina. They quietly positioned themselves outside, unseen, while Maya observed from her window. The group had a strategy. They relied not on force, but on careful observation, timing, and human intelligence. The key, Ron whispered, is to let them reveal themselves without knowing we are ready. Humans are clever. We can anticipate, outthink, and protect. Maya nodded, feeling a surge of pride. This was not about weapons or fear. It was about using the mind, planning, and courage. Humans had an ability to adapt, to solve problems creatively, and to turn small observations into decisive actions. She understood now why Ron had emphasized patience and attention to detail. The figure outside returned, moving closer to the building. Maya could see the person stopping at the corner, looking up at her window. But this time, the motion sensors triggered a series of small lights and sounds Ron had set up, creating a controlled and harmless distraction. The figure faltered, confused by the clever arrangement. They are surprised, Maya whispered to herself. That is what humans can do. Outthink without confrontation. The group continued their careful watch, tracking movements and noting patterns. Each action was deliberate, each response thoughtful. Humans, Maya realized, had a unique ability to create order and protection without relying on fear or aggression. It was the mind that was the strongest tool, combined with courage and kindness. Over the next hour, the person outside tried several approaches, testing different corners of the building. But every time they were met with an unexpected light, a sound, or a slight change that revealed their presence. Maya could not help but admire the cleverness of the plan. Every detail had been considered, every possibility anticipated. Finally, the figure retreated, realizing that their efforts were being observed and countered. Maya felt a quiet triumph. They had not fought with violence, yet they had protected themselves and Leo. Human ingenuity, observation, and courage had prevailed. Ron returned to the door, smiling slightly. They will think twice before coming back, he said. Humans have a way of using the mind to solve problems. You did well. You stayed calm, observed, and understood the clues. Maya felt a deep sense of satisfaction. It was not just about safety. It was about learning, growing, and realizing the strength humans carried within. She had faced fear, and through careful thinking and courage, she had turned it into a solution. Over the following days, Maya, Leo, and Ron's friends continued to strengthen the home's security. They did not use violence. Instead, they relied on clever arrangements, observation, and collaboration. Maya learned how to notice small changes in light, sound, and movement. She learned to anticipate problems and act calmly. Every day, her confidence grew. Leo also played his part. He learned to pay attention, to notice patterns, and to report observations. Maya watched him with pride. Humans had an extraordinary ability to adapt, even in children. The combination of courage, observation, and kindness created safety that no fear could overcome. One afternoon, Maya received a small surprise. A neighbor, who had noticed unusual activity outside her apartment, approached her with a concerned smile. I think someone was watching your building, the neighbor said. I've seen them several times. Do you need any help? Maya felt a warmth spread through her chest. Humans helping humans, simple, thoughtful, and brave, had created a network of protection. She explained briefly what they had done, careful to avoid alarming anyone, and thanked the neighbor for their attention. It was another example of how ordinary people could act in extraordinary ways when they used their minds. Courage and kindness. That evening, after Leo was asleep, Maya sat with Ron and Paul at the kitchen table. They reviewed the events of the past week, noting patterns and discussing ways to remain safe. Ron spoke quietly but with conviction. Humans are remarkable. We can observe, think ahead, plan, and act in ways that no one expects. That is our greatest strength. Violence is unnecessary when we use our intelligence and courage. Maya nodded. I understand now. It is not about being strong physically. It is about thinking, noticing, and working together. Paul added, exactly. And when we combine our efforts, we can protect each other. Humans have a unique ability to turn small acts of kindness and observation into solutions that are powerful. Maya felt a deep respect for the human spirit. She had always believed in kindness and courage, but now she saw it in action. Humans could face uncertainty, solve problems creatively, and protect those they cared about without resorting to harm. It was a lesson she would carry for the rest of her life. The night passed quietly, with Maya and Leo feeling safe for the first time in weeks. They knew the shadows outside were no longer a threat. Instead, they had been met with careful planning, observation, and courage. The simple act of paying for gas had led to a chain of events that strengthened their safety and highlighted the extraordinary abilities humans possessed. Maya reflected on everything that had happened. She had learned that fear could be transformed into careful observation, that small gestures could create strong bonds, and that courage was not about fighting. It was about acting thoughtfully, using the mind, and helping others. Humans had an ability to face challenges in ways that no machine or force could anticipate. As she looked out at the quiet city, Maya felt a profound sense of hope. The night sky was clear, filled with stars, each one a reminder of the vast possibilities humans carried within themselves. She knew that whatever came next, they were prepared. Humans were intelligent, creative, and capable of extraordinary acts of courage and kindness. And as she turned off the lights and settled into bed, holding Leo close, Maya realized something important. Fear could never overpower the power of the human mind. Human courage and human ingenuity. They had faced uncertainty, they had observed, they had planned, and they had acted. And in doing so, they had turned a simple moment of concern into a demonstration of human strength. Outside, the city remained calm, unaware of the quiet triumph that had taken place in a small apartment. Maya and Leo slept peacefully, protected not by weapons or fear, but by the remarkable abilities of humans to think, care, and act in the face of uncertainty. The morning sun poured through the window of Maya's apartment, casting long beams of gold across the floor. Birds chirped in the distance, and the city outside was slowly waking up. Maya stretched, feeling the lingering excitement and relief from the previous nights. After the careful planning, observation, and clever strategies she had learned from Ron and his friends, the sense of fear that had hung over her and Leo was finally lifting. She watched her son, Leo, as he ate breakfast with a small, happy smile. He seemed lighter, more relaxed than he had in weeks. Maya felt a surge of pride and relief. Humans, she realized, were capable of remarkable strength, not just in their physical actions, but in their ability to observe, think, and protect. The events of the past week had shown her how courage, patience, and intelligence could create extraordinary results. As she cleared the table, a gentle knock came at the door. It was Ron, as always, calm and confident. Behind him were Paul and Nina. Maya felt a small flutter of gratitude in her chest. These were ordinary people, yet their careful thinking and willingness to help had made a life-changing difference for her and Leo. "Good morning, Maya," Ron said with a warm smile. "We came to check in. How are you feeling today?" "Much better," Maya replied. "I feel safe. I feel prepared. I never realized how much humans could achieve just by thinking carefully and working together." Paul nodded. "That is the key. Observation, planning, and courage. When humans work together, we can solve problems that seem impossible." "You did very well, Maya. You stayed calm and acted thoughtfully. That is what matters most." Maya glanced at Leo, who had paused in his breakfast to look at their guests curiously. "Leo, these friends helped us stay safe. They showed us that humans can use their minds to protect themselves and others. It is incredible, isn't it?" Leo nodded, a small smile spreading across his face. "Yes, Mom. We were brave too." Maya knelt to his level and hugged him. "Yes, we were. But bravery is not just about facing danger. It is about thinking, planning, and staying calm. That is how humans are strong." Later that morning, Maya and Ron stepped outside to check the area around the apartment one more time. The streets were quiet, bathed in the gentle light of early morning. Maya noticed details she had never paid attention to before: the patterns of shadows, the sounds of distant cars, the angles where people might hide. With Ron's guidance, she identified small improvements that would make her home even safer. "This is amazing," Maya said, her eyes wide with understanding. "All of this can be done without fear, without confrontation. Just observation, thought, and care." Ron smiled. "Humans have a unique ability to see patterns and anticipate problems. That is our greatest strength. Even when situations seem uncertain, our minds can create solutions." "You have learned that well." As the day continued, Maya noticed how much calmer she felt. She and Leo moved around the apartment with a sense of ease. no longer jumping at small noises or shadows. Their home had become a place of safety, not fear. And beyond that, Maya understood something deeper. Humans were capable of extraordinary kindness, courage, and creativity. In the afternoon, there was another knock at the door. This time, it was the neighbor who had noticed unusual activity outside previously. She smiled warmly at Maya. "I wanted to check on you. Everything okay?" Maya felt a surge of gratitude. Humans looking out for each other, even in small ways, had contributed to her sense of safety. She explained briefly what had happened, careful to avoid alarming anyone, and thanked the neighbor for her attention. Ron, Paul, and Nina returned later in the day, bringing small tools and gadgets they had used to improve security. They demonstrated simple ways to monitor the area and create safe spaces without fear or force. Maya watched carefully, absorbing every detail. She realized that humans had the power to solve problems creatively, and that courage combined with thought could turn uncertainty into confidence. That evening, Maya sat by the window with Leo. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. She thought about the events of the past week. A single act of kindness, paying for Ron's gas, had set off a chain of events that not only protected her family, but also revealed the extraordinary abilities of humans to observe, think, and act in ways that were thoughtful and brave. "Mom," Leo said softly, "I feel safe now. I know we can handle anything." Maya smiled, her heart full. "Yes, Leo, humans are capable of amazing things. We can protect ourselves, help others, and turn even scary situations into opportunities to show courage and kindness." That night, Maya reflected on the lessons she had learned. Fear could be transformed into careful observation. Uncertainty could become an opportunity for planning and creativity. Small gestures, like helping someone in need, could grow into networks of support and protection. Humans had an extraordinary capacity for ingenuity and compassion, and when they acted together, they could overcome challenges that seemed impossible. As Maya and Leo went to bed, she felt a quiet sense of triumph. The shadows that had once caused worry and fear were now powerless against the careful planning, observation, and courage of humans. She knew that whatever came next, they were ready. Humans had the ability to solve problems with intelligence and heart, and that strength was something that could never be taken away. The following days passed with a new rhythm. Maya and Leo carried on with their lives, but their awareness and confidence had grown. They noticed small details in the world around them, subtle patterns in movement, and small signs of kindness from strangers. Each observation strengthened their understanding of the human capacity for creativity, courage, and care. Ron continued to check in occasionally, not because Maya needed protection, but because humans thrived when they supported each other. Paul and Nina also visited, offering advice and guidance in small ways. Maya realized that humans had a remarkable ability to create safety and confidence, not through fear or force, but through intelligence, observation, and mutual support. One afternoon, as Maya walked Leo to school, she noticed a small child struggling to carry a heavy backpack. She bent down and offered to help, smiling at the child. The act was small, but it felt meaningful. She thought about how her simple act of paying for gas had led to protection, confidence, and new understanding. Even the smallest acts of kindness could ripple outward, creating extraordinary outcomes. As they reached the school gates, Maya felt a deep sense of respect for humanity. Humans were capable of extraordinary courage, creativity, and empathy. They could solve problems, protect each other, and create networks of support simply by thinking carefully, observing, and acting with care. She realized that these qualities were more powerful than any physical strength or technology. That evening, Maya sat with Ron and his friends one last time before they departed. They shared stories, advice, and quiet laughter. Maya felt a sense of gratitude that went beyond words. These ordinary humans had shown her the extraordinary power of observation, intelligence, and courage. "You've learned well, Maya," Ron said. "Humans have a way of turning challenges into opportunities, and you have done that. You protected your family, you observed, and you acted thoughtfully. That is what makes humans remarkable." Maya nodded, feeling a deep truth in his words. "I understand now. Humans are capable of extraordinary things even in ordinary lives. It is not just about what we can do alone, but how we work together and use our minds." Paul added, "Exactly. When we combine observation, courage, and kindness, nothing is impossible. You have shown that clearly." As the friends left, Maya watched them walk down the street feeling a profound sense of connection. Humans had the ability to solve problems creatively, act courageously, and help one another in ways that were quiet but powerful. It was a lesson she would never forget. That night, as she tucked Leo into bed, she whispered, "Humans are incredible, Leo. Courage, kindness, and clever thinking can make anything possible." Leo smiled sleepily. "I understand, Mom. I feel brave too." Maya kissed his forehead and turned off the light. As she lay in bed, she reflected on everything that had happened. A single act of kindness had grown into protection, confidence, and understanding. Fear had been replaced by observation. Uncertainty had become planning. Threats had been met with intelligence rather than confrontation. Humans had shown their extraordinary power through courage, creativity, observation, and kindness. Maya felt a quiet pride in being part of that story, in living a life where small actions could have enormous impact. Outside, the city was calm under the moonlight, and Maya finally felt at peace. The shadows were gone, not because of strength or weapons, but because humans had the ability to think, to observe, to plan, and to act with care. She knew that life would bring new challenges, but she also knew that humans were capable of facing anything with courage and intelligence. And as she drifted to sleep, Maya felt hope for the future. Humans were remarkable, and she and Leo were part of that greatness. Simple acts, careful observation, courage, and kindness could change lives, create safety, and reveal the extraordinary power within ordinary people.